facilities that they have here. So I encourage everybody to come take a look at it if you can. So this is our agenda. This is pretty much normal to what we have. First of all, let me just start with if I know some of you I know and a lot of you are new faces. My name is Richard Wade. I'm the State Geographic Information Officer for Texas. I also serve as Deputy Executive Administrator at TENRIS. And this is one of our highlights that we like to put together to let people know and share information of what TENRIS is actually doing out there and how that may impact you. But really what we're also looking for is what other agencies, other folks are doing out there so we can understand that and try to utilize these resources that you may have or applications you may have or whatever it might be. So this is our way of letting you know what we're doing, but also hearing what y'all are doing. And so what I really hope that we get out of this is that people are going to engage. We really want the folks to talk about what they're doing, even if you have like a job opening, we want to know that. But what we're going to do is that in our roll call session, we will go through at least from the major agencies. We'll ask them to do just a little update on what they're doing, but also to open it up to everybody within the room and on the virtual call. Just simply raise your hand. We'll unmute you and let us know what you're up to. So we'd like to hear back from you. Also, too, we have our guest speaker today with Aerographics, Angela Arriaga. Where's Angela? Where are you? Over there. And she's coming here for the first time. I guess you've been with the company since April, not that long. We don't normally have these kinds of issues, so we appreciate you being patient with us. But she's going to have a presentation on the backside of this, and it's some very interesting stuff. And then we'll just do our announcements and closing remarks. So next slide, please. So since we last met, there hasn't been a lot happening as it relates. There's a lot happening, but not a lot that we can really talk about. What we did have happening is probably one of the biggest pieces of news that we can give is that we finally have Esri on our StratMap contract after about 18 months of negotiation. And that was a very hard fought battle at all levels. But I did really want to thank our partners at Esri and thank y'all for staying on top of it and pushing it. And we tried our best on the state side to make things happen. And it was a long battle. And our agency partners, we want to thank you for your patience and we apologize for that. But I think we've learned a lot through that process. And hopefully we won't have these kinds of pains again when we're negotiating our contract. So John, is there anything you wanted to talk about or anything you wanted to bring up relating to the StratMap contract?
No, just the DIR's back. If you have a quote, it may have the old DIR number, so you want to check and make sure you have the new DIR contract number. Yeah, but it has products, maintenance, and product services and professional services and labor rates.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if last time we checked, the Esri contract information wasn't on the DIR site, but it's incoming. But if you need that contract number, let us know. Yeah. Let myself or Gayla or Felicia or Richard know, and we can get you that number.
Yeah. So all great news. The website isn't quite updated yet, but my understanding is that it will be updated this week sometime. So you'll see all the information about the contract on there. But it is officially done. It's all signed, and so we're happy to be able to have that, and hopefully that'll keep Scott off my butt now from here on out because he's been extremely vocal. Let's just say.
I'll find something else.
Okay, I'm sure you will. So that's great news. I mean, that's very exciting for us. Next slide, please. I also wanted to let everybody know that we are hiring. Through COVID, we lost about 48% of our staff in the last 2.5 years. So we're rebuilding, and a lot of areas we're rebuilding from the ground up. But that's good. In my opinion, it's painful, but it's very good. So I wanted to just share this link. There's a QR code there to our company site or organization site with the job postings listings. And you can see the 2 that we have there. Those are the 2 that we have currently. We do have more coming very early in FY23, which is in a few months. So be looking for that. There's just a lot going on. We need a lot of smart people and eager people. So keep looking for that. I believe others there's a lot of hiring going on at the state level as well. So be looking for that. We have a data specialist that we think that's going to be coming in September, and a GIS specialist as well coming in the August timeframe, which I think is actually probably up there. That's not, but it's coming. So be looking out for that. The other announcement I kind of wanted to bring up is that people have been asking me about the forum, and I think we talked about it at the last community meeting. We made a decision that based upon the information and the feedback we received from y'all, that it looks like we're moving it back into the fall, into the October timeframe. So what that means is that, people are asking, are we going to have it this October? The answer is we will not have it this October because it was just too close to the one we just did. So we're going to literally go around a full cycle here for the next 18 months. And we'll have our forum in late October of 2023. So be looking for that. Let's see. I think that's kind of all of my opening remarks. And we're going to go ahead and start with the tenors presentations. Next slide. And so we're going to have Joey Thomas, Lauren Kirk, and Aaron Pierce talk a little bit about some of the projects that we currently have. And then, of course, after that, we would open it up to any questions that y'all may have. So Joey, who's first, actually?
Lauren.
Lauren, you're first. So we'll let Lauren have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Kirk. I'm the Geographic Data Coordinator at GIS. Hello to everyone online. I'm not really sure I'm supposed to be looking.
The camera's over there to your left.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Before I dive into my 2022 land parcel and address point update, I do want to preface by saying in a few minutes, I'm going to talk about a couple of internship opportunities at Tennis that we have opening up. So more information on that, but now we'll go right into the next slide, which is land parcels and address points. Hooray, it's here, 2022 data. Yay. Today, it's all posted and ready to go. I just think our Data Hub website has not completely synced up. That's why if you go to the Data Hub site right now, you won't see it on there, but check back tomorrow and it will be. Next slide, please. So for land parcels and address points, acquisition started in January of 2022. This is our current or our final status map for land parcels. We have 244 counties participating, which is, I think, the most we've had since the program started. 10 counties, and I have it broken down up here, did not submit data to me for various reasons. 2 just do not maintain a GIS of any kind. And 8 just never replied to my multiple emails. So awesome. We have 14 counties here represented by the hash marks over them that only delivered partial data to us. So that means maybe only a shapefile, maybe only the tax roll, or maybe it's both, but it wasn't enough information to standardize to our own schema. But we didn't want to withhold any of that data. So those are also available for free download, but you will need to request them on the Data Hub through the order tab. So didn't want to withhold that from you guys if you really need whatever we could get from those counties. So, and in total, that's about 14.3 million land parcels for 2022 for the state of Texas. Really exciting. I'm proud of that turnout. Oh yeah, next slide. Sorry. No, you're good. Same thing for address points. We have 251 counties participating. 3 didn't. 10 million address points acquired. As of today, all of the address points have been submitted to the NAD, the National Address Database, which is a program of the U.S. Department of Transportation. They're going to go through all of the county address points and grade them as how well they adhere to the NENA 911 standards. Last year in 2021, we had a really good outcome. I think 98% of the address points were accepted and added to the National Address Database, which is really great. Yeah, so again, both land parcels and address points are program highlights this year with participation. Really excited about that. And I couldn't have done it without the help of our 2 awesome interns, Helen and Natalie, who are here with us today. Next slide. And that brings us to our internship program. We're looking for 1 to 2 interns to join Helen and Natalie in our ongoing projects. The interns will be working in our StratMap division with RDC, LiDAR, land parcels and address points, and maybe some imagery projects as they come along. What did I write here? It's a lot of fun. I was an intern. Several of us, Timbers folks, were interns. You learn a lot. You meet a lot of really cool people, have access to these kind of events and training. So if you or anyone you know is interested, please email Aaron, who's right here in the back. We'll be up for a little later. The only prerequisite is we do ask that any prospective interns have at least an introductory GIS course under their belt. It is a rolling deadline. There is no specific application deadline. So just whenever they are interested, please send us your application information. We'd love to talk to you guys.
Is it 2-year, 4-year? Does it matter?
We do 1 year increments.
I mean, is it at a 2-year university college or 4-year?
Oh yes, both. Okay, yeah, so
yes.
anyone, any student, current student. Yep. Yeah. And any other questions before I wrap up? No. Cool. Thank you guys, and I'll hand it over to Joey.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Joey Thomas. I'm an elevation specialist at Tenerife. I'm just going to be giving some updates on the imagery and elevation sets that we're working on throughout that program. The first set of updates is regarding the Texas Imagery Service. The urban 2022 areas are coming very soon. They should be in the services by next month in August. So keep an eye out for those. And then we are also in the planning stages right now for a winter collection this year that'll be leaf off. And that will be a statewide collection on 6 inch. So those are 2 really great products that are coming to the Texas Imagery Service in the future. And of course, if you're interested in joining the Texas Imagery Service or even trying it out, please let us know. You can go to our website. You can go to this site up here, tenerife.org/TIS-request, and you get free trial. And it's a huge value for a lot of the entities who need to use this really high quality imagery. So check it out and look forward to those new data sets coming very soon. Next slide. Give you some updates on LiDAR data. The 2021 Travis and Bexar County collection that we've been working on is complete and available for download. And that also includes the city of Austin region at a 12 point per square meter density. So that's a really great data set that we were able to make available earlier this year. The GIN project, which is Ellis, Hill, Johnson, and Navarro County, is very close to being distributed. We have all that data in-house. We're just kind of waiting for some final QCs and to get the final report on all the checkpoints and such. So that'll hopefully be dropping in the next month in August on data.tenerife.org. And then also part of that project was, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little blue sliver out there in the west. And that is a topography acquisition over the South Llano River by Junction, Texas. And that one's getting very near to completion as well. So that's 2 data sets that'll be on the site, hopefully by the fall this year. So yeah, right there. Thank you.
What was that flown?
When was these flown?
No, why was that flown?
The topography. So it was flown primarily for our rivers and streams surface water folks. They want to look at it and see if they can create better inflow models and that sort of thing, as well as just understand the morphology of the stream better.
Most of this is for flooding, understanding the bathymetry for flooding models.
Next slide. Oh, there we go. So we are also pursuing the LiDAR acquisition this upcoming winter as well, leaf off. And it will be for these areas here. We don't have enough funding to collect all of them. So we are still seeking partnerships. We're getting closer and closer to releasing that this fall. So based on our funding, it's looking like we're only going to be able to collect 2 of these AOIs. So if you are interested in participating or you can contribute to these, please let us know. While we do have funding over the next several years, a lot of the data sets are going to start falling out of that 8-year cycle. So there will be a lot of areas to pick up, especially once the USGS collections, which many of them are very massive, start to phase out. We will have hundreds of thousands of square miles to collect across the state. So please, if you can participate, please do so if you have any funding, because we really need to keep these areas updated. And yes, all these areas will also be based on HUCs moving forward. That's another change to our process. So hopefully that'll help with the modeling of flooding or anybody doing watershed boundary analysis and that sort of thing. So please let us know if you're interested in participating. And just feel free to contact me or the StratMap email itself. Next slide.
I have a question in the chat.
Oh, yes.
What is the recent LiDAR accuracy?
For most of our collections, recently they've been 5 centimeter to around 8. There'll be some areas where it'll go about to 10, but for the higher density stuff, it's usually closer to 5 centimeters. For the city of Austin, the 12 point per square meter, it was, I think, just over 5 centimeters, like a couple of millimeters over 5 centimeters. We also just released a statement of work to continue our efforts on standardizing classifications of the LiDAR in Texas. These areas up here are the areas that we will be pursuing this cycle. It's a substantial area that will kind of seal up the rest of kind of central and eastern Texas, so that that whole area will be the same standardized classification scheme. They'll include the low vegetation, medium, and high vegetation buildings and culverts. And what we're doing is taking the USGS data and enhancing it with these classifications. And these 2 collections, this comes from 2 collections, part of the Dallas Pecos LiDAR project, and then the 2019 Hurricane LiDAR project from the USGS. And most likely those will become available on our website next summer and fall. Yeah, and it'll be the same as the other data sets. You'll be able to download them through our website, and they'll be under the StratMap classified. So we also completed our first round of bathymetry data sets this past year. And they are available on our website, and they cover the Laguna Madre area. It is a LiDAR, the topography LiDAR, and an acoustic survey. The topography coverage is there in the blue on the left, and then the orange area is the area that was collected with acoustic, multi-beam, and single beam. And we are planning to do more bathymetry in the state. Currently, right now, we're looking at where our priority areas are. We're also very interested in understanding what anybody's specifications for bathymetry data are. So if you have certain types of bathymetry data you can collect it, or if you need some side scan imagery or other details that you might want to capture certain elements of the bathymetric surfaces, please let us know. We are working to kind of update our specification, as well as make it as inclusive to every agency that needs to collect this data. So please let us know. We're currently trying to prioritize the initial areas that were submitted to us for future bathymetry acquisition. So please let us know, and we're really seeking input on this. So please, especially with specifications, that's one thing that I'm really seeking some guidance on. I think that's it.
So, Joey, real quick.
Yeah.
Is USGS have grants for any bathymetry data currently, or looking into any grants? Because if I'm not mistaken, they're really looking to try to get the entire Gulf Coast region in bathymetry, or am I making that up? Is that?
I don't know if the USGS necessarily is. Maybe Claire, do you? Yeah, no. But I do know NOAA is. And NOAA does have a grant program, but it's similar to the Gypsy program, where it's you give them the money and they collect it to their stations and stuff. Okay. And we really want to make sure that anything we collect is specialized for the use of the Texas agencies at any of the work that they're doing. So I'll hand it over to Aaron. You can talk about the archive.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Pierce. I work at TNRS in the RDC, the Research and Distribution Center. I'm a GIS analyst maintaining and just owning the photo archive that we have at TNRS. I don't have too much of an update, kind of a short one just to say that our archive is fully scanned. It's an initiative that we've been working on for many, many years. I believe we've had since 2018, 2019, we've had 2 to 3 bulk pushes for scanning our archive. And as of the end of last year, we've completed that. And so you can kind of see some of our handiwork that we've done in that most recent bulk scanning project. I just wanted to say, definitely couldn't have done it without both some of my peers, Lauren Kirk, Chelsea Zidenblad, Joey Thomas, as well as our interns, Natalie and Helen, who are here today, and all previous interns who have come before them. So with that, the archives are fully scanned. Next steps, we're working towards kind of restructuring our database and our digital archive just to get that as clean and standardized as possible. And hopefully sometime in the future, we will have those available on our data hub. But other than that, if you have any questions, I'm free now, or I have my email up here. So are there any questions?
They're not georeferenced yet.
They are not georeferenced yet. That is an initiative that we are looking for in the future. We're kind of in pre-production phases to see the best ways to do that, as the archive is very large and most of it is not yet georeferenced. No. Any other questions? Richard.
Thank you, Aaron. So we do realize that the archive is you know, a one-of-a-kind archive for the entire state. And in order for us to really use it the way we want to, there has been a lot of talk about how we're going to reference that information so it can become a service that you can just lay on top of an existing project that you're working on and see historical data for that. But if anybody's done any registration before, realizes that it takes 30 minutes or more probably to reference one frame. And when you got hundreds of thousands of frames, it's not an easy task. And we've been looking at everything from using artificial intelligence to try to have it auto register. We've been talking to Esri about it. We've talked to Google about it. We've talked to multiple entities about how, you know, is there a way we can save time and shave some time off of it? And we're still looking at those processes right now. But bottom line is that continues to be an ongoing process. The other thing I wanted to bring up when Joey was talking about the Texas Imagery Service, there's been one development that has occurred, and that is that we have a new provider of that imagery. We are now going to be getting that imagery every 2 years, the entire state coverage every 2 years versus every 3 years like we were doing before. And it's at no cost to the current cost model. There's no rise in cost model. So you're literally getting more for the same dollar that you had before. And we will continue to work with, you know, bringing on new people to try to keep costs as low as we can. But starting this year, this first collect will be the first time we will collect. And then 2 years from now, we'll collect the entire state again. So I think that's something worth noting for the future. So Scott, yeah, so you had your hand.
You actually.
Oh, thank you. So we're really excited about that. And normally, these are primarily leaf on, except for the current project right now is going to be leaf off. And we are talking to our vendor about, because we're trying to sync up with NAPE on their collect, and that's kind of how that's playing out. But there may be some options on doing some leaf off stuff. So we're looking into some of those details. But right now, that's how this is playing out. But having it every 2 years is a pretty big deal. So
just clarify the whole state, not
the entire state every 2 years. Yeah.
Same resolution?
Same resolution. Everything's exactly the same. Everything's exactly the same. And you just get more of it. Yeah. So I think that's exciting. That's something definitely worth noting. I think that's it. That's all I've got as it relates to that. Any questions before we move on to roll call? All right. Well, unfortunately, because of our snafu, I do realize that a lot of people who were going to be on roll call, I don't see in the room, nor do I see on the screen there. So we may get through this a little quicker than we want. Oh, it's not? No. Oh, okay, good. Well, then I will continue on. So first of all, again, roll call, what I'm looking for here is just some of the agencies, especially the people who are the agencies that are in the GIS Solutions group. Would like to have them maybe give a little bit of an update to what y'all are working on. So Scott, is that okay if I start with you?
Yeah.
GLO?
Sure. Tell you later. Yeah, I'm Scott Friedman. I'm the director of the geospatial team at the General Land Office. Most of the stuff that we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot right now. Most of it is maintenance and operations, so there's nothing earth-shattering, no earth-shattering projects, but some really good stuff. I'll just kind of give you examples. We are, of course, we're prepared for storm season. We're in the storm season right now, so our team has updated all of our viewers and dashboards, cleaned out the data sets, prepared field staff, coastal and oil spill field staff to collect data with collector for preferably field maps application. So we're ready to go with that in case the storm hits Texas. Hope not. But, we're looking at this is a long slog to update our enterprise GIS enterprise architecture. We're doing a lot of projects for our coastal resources division, including the TechSed project, which is a popular project, a geodatabase and mapping viewer, cataloging the core sampling sites all up and down the coast. So when projects are needed to be done, beach restoration, mitigation, you can look at that database to see what the sediment characteristics are in any location. And in addition to that, we're doing LiDAR contours for that project. I should also say there's several members of our team here today, including a couple of interns. So if any of you guys, if I misspeak, please correct me. And then ongoing projects also for our energy resources division. That's never ending, updating the leases and units, doing the school land board plats every school land board meeting, etc. So our energy resources, that's our major revenue producing operation for the agency, the sale and lease of state lands for energy exploration. And then several projects for our oil spill prevention and response program, including a huge, so we update, every year we update the oil spill toolkit, which is used by Texas responders, but also other Gulf state responders when there are oil spills. And this year we're waiting for a couple of major data sets, updated biological information, fish, invertebrates, terrestrial mammals, some onshore plant habitat data for the toolkit. That should be coming this fall, as well as an updated version from the Hart Research Institute of the ESI shoreline, Environmental Sensitivity Index. That's a shoreline characterization so that responders know where to place booms and send resources when there's a spill, protect this area of shoreline because it's more sensitive as opposed to this area. So, okay. And we're also updating our offshore structures inventory. So the land office is responsible for the derelict structures in the Gulf and the bays, particularly orphan wells, which are wells that have been abandoned. They become hazards, spill hazards, boat traffic hazards. So there's an attempt to either find the company that's responsible to get those removed, or if that company is gone, defunct, bankrupt, whatever, then it's the state's responsibility to get those removed. So that's an update what we're doing. Another big project is, and thanks to the GIO and TINRIS for their help in funding this project, the Regen project, which is a multi-year project to create a new land grid for the state based on publicly available data, so it won't be proprietary. So a original Texas land survey grid based on the freely available Railroad Commission data, but adding in the GLO attributes. Once so we're working first on the tracts that are part of the permanent school fund, the 13 to 14 million acres that we manage in the state. And that will go to TINRIS for posting, for distribution. And then the remaining time will be the rest of the state that are non-PSF. Hidden history. Got that one. Texas Hidden History. This is a really good educational project. We're working with our Archives and Records division. So they're the keepers of Texas history, our Archives and Records. If you've never visited the GLO archives, I highly recommend it. They're now starting to do tours again. You can go and maybe with gloves or maybe in plastic, but you can actually see and touch documents that were written and signed by Travis, and William B. Travis, Stephen F. Austin, Crockett, all those guys that fought at the Alamo. So it's really good. You can view the archives. There's tens of thousands of historical maps in the archive and millions of historical documents. So we are working on a project called Texas Hidden History, which is a revamp of the original popular one that we did many years ago. And interns are playing a big role in this project. I'd like to see. And it's an attempt to provide interesting historical stories through story maps for Texas school children and educators and the general public. There's a new map store, a revamped. If you've ever visited the GLO, go take a look at the map store. That's going to be, it's being redone right now, and it should be released either it's supposed to be by the end of August. It might be delayed a little bit into September. But a new revamped map store, new and improved, and the first phase of Hidden History should be released with that new map store. So 2 to 3 really interesting and dynamic story maps about Texas history. Yeah, I'll stop there.
All right. Scott, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Scott? If you haven't gone to their archive, to their map archive, it is something to experience. It really, really is. Anybody have any questions for Scott? All right. A couple of things I wanted to bring up as Scott brought it up that I think it's worth mentioning. From the TWDB side, we got a couple of new additions that we've been looking at. And one of them we brought up at the forum, and I think even talked a little bit about it at the last community meeting, but we are still making progress on our TINRIS store. There's a lot that has to go into that, both legally and logistically, trying to figure out how to do online payments, especially when you're working with the state and the things you have to do for that. It's trudging along slowly, but it's happening. The rebranding is also happening at the same time. There is the hope is that TINRIS actually is going to get rebranded, have a different name by the end of this next leg session. And we've already been kind of, leaking the name. It's the Geographic Information Office of Texas, or the Texas Geographic Information Office. It makes more sense than TINRIS, even though that name means a lot to me, being, 20-something years here. But that's kind of our goal. And also wanted to welcome Lauren Sepulveda back with the new Tenris employee that she's got hanging off of her right there. So we can't wait to have her back in a full-time capacity. We'll pick up some of the, some of where we left off when it comes to the branding and the store and so forth. So we will report more about what we've got going on at the next meeting for sure. The other thing I wanted to bring up that the board is working on is that we are working with with USGS on the flood decision support toolbox. This is our third phase of it that is due at the end of August. That's, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, it's a combination of working with NOAA and the Inform folks at the federal level. But it creates a way that our data becomes extremely valuable and useful, and not just data for you to look at, but it actually is used to make decisions kind of proactively. So we can identify how many houses or I should say structures are being affected by any sort of a flood. You can do what if scenarios to that. You can get reports on what the estimated damage is. Anyway, we're very, very excited about that. We'll be doing my understanding is we'll be doing a press release probably in September on the latest addition to the flood decision support toolbox. I'm hoping at one of our future meetings, we'll actually do a full-on demonstration of that in this meeting. So I think that's very, very exciting as well. So also too, I don't know if Taylor Christian is on from TWDB. Taylor, if you're on, I just want to know if you could give us a little background on maybe the Texas Water Data Hub. Let's see if we can where she's on. Okay. She may be one that was stuck in the other webinar. Okay. So we are working on a new Texas Water Data Hub, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. But in general, what it really involves is a completely new architecture behind it that allows people to find data related to water of any level. It could be planning data. So people, a lot of people are asking, well, how is that different from, necessarily flood or whatever? The bottom line is the way this is being done is kind of part of a bigger picture. You're going to be using a catalog that is curated. It's going to be essentially, I like to look at it as authoritative data in many aspects. You can actually go and find that information with very, very advanced type lookup features, geolocating types features and so forth. And this is part of a system that we are doing nationwide. So it's Texas's version of it, but New Mexico has a version, California has a version, and eventually all of these will marry together and you can pull up data from any one of those sources. And of course, that catalog then becomes available to something like Texas Disaster Information System and others. So, and it's also probably one of the very first projects that we're using that we have developed that has so many agencies at the both federal, state, local, and even the university level of learning and building it. So we have a lot of people making decisions and helping us develop this thing, and that will be something also too we can't wait to demo to you. We're actually kind of at an alpha stage right now, and it is functioning. But it's just got a few data sets in it right now until we kind of work out some of the bugs. And with that, I'm going to actually segue to, to maybe, Greg, if you wanted to chat maybe a little bit about TUNIS.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Greg Smith, part with the University of Texas Center for Space Research, and we're involved in the big project of the Texas Disaster Information System, or otherwise known as TDIS. And it's multi-agency effort with Texas A&M, UT, GLO, Texas Water Development Board, and lots of private companies, vendors out there supplying flood modeling data, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to eventually, hopefully, be sort of your one-stop shopping for disaster-related data for Texas. And I think initially it's going to be focused mostly on flooding data, which is why there's been a lot of work with the Texas Water Development Board in this first phase. And so the the first phase is basically, they call it MS2 project, which is under, I guess, the flood modelers over at Texas Water Development Board. And so they're what we're calling the first use case. And they are now, we're getting close to a deployment on that. There's been some testing and things. So they will be the first to actually have like a real test of this system. And, you know, which includes people entering the data, updating the metadata part of it, and then being able to use search tools to find this data and based on keywords and things like that. And so it'll be a good test. I'm sure we'll learn from it. And it's the first of many use cases. We're going to be moving on to other ones. One of them is it's Institute for Disaster Resilience Texas under Texas A&M. They are now part of, I guess, working mainly on the state hazard mitigation plan, which is a TDM, I guess mostly a TDM effort, but TDM's asking them to do it. And so we're supporting them right now on doing some interactive map services for them. And of course, eventually we're going to try to migrate what they're doing now into TIAS. So let's see. We've also finished the first draft of a one-year LiDAR elevation tile service for the state, which Richard's a big part of. I don't know if we have a date on that, but it's 43 terabytes of data out there.
Yeah, it's getting close.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff out there. So let's see the other. Oh yeah, so we're also working with, I mentioned the vendors that we're working with through GLO. So GLO works with about 4 or 5 different flood vendors out there throughout the state of Texas. And they've been going through and doing a data catalog of their own, pulling together any and every kind of data set that has to do with flooding in Texas. And so that they are going to be one of the folks that are one of our use cases that are feeding data into the system. And so we're about to start working on kind of testing that data model, of the data and model, what they call ingest service. So you can ingest data and you can in models. Models are multiple folders, multiple files of information. You can try to pull up and put that in there. And then of course have metadata for it. So that's another thing going on. And lastly, we're starting to work with the DRIP folks. It's Disaster Risk Infrastructure Program, and they help rural communities who don't know how to get flood-related data and such, and don't know how to get the funding for grants and things like that. So there's an effort to go around and meet. There was a recent one that happened out near El Paso, where they went out and met with the locals and understood their deficiencies there and their information about dams and locations and all that kind of stuff. So it's we've got a person over at UT she's going and interviewing multiple different rural communities with that program. So that should be an interesting thing. And that's all I have.
Great. Yeah, some great stuff, and you can kind of see where there's a lot of overlap in some of the applications, and the rule of thumb here is the viewers and the applications themselves, you can have as many as you want, but the data that it's looking at is the authoritative data sets. And so you don't have to necessarily worry about, am I looking at the latest and greatest data set? No matter what application you're on, you are looking at the latest data. And so again, trying to curate a statewide type catalog is a huge undertaking, but it is working with our state, local, and federal partners to identify what that looks like. So I think that's going to be a really big deal, but we're really excited about what's happening in TDIS, and GLO is funding a lot of that development within this, within these operations that are currently happening with TDIS and others. So anyway, just be thinking about that, because you're going to learn a lot more about this as time goes on. Let's see if I've got anybody in the room. Is there anybody on from TextDot? If you are, will you raise your hand if you want to maybe give a little update? Nobody? I didn't see anybody when I saw this schedule thing. How about Parks and Wildlife? Is Jeremy, are you on?
don't see Jeremy, but I do see Andrew.
Okay. Is anybody from Parks and Wildlife wanted to give an update? Okay. If you do, and you're having trouble finding the raise hand button, go ahead and do that, and we'll get back with you. Railroad Commission. Anybody from Railroad Commission? And then Texas Historical Commission. Looking for you guys as well. Okay. Cool.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Oh, we hear you.
Angela, are you able to unmute yourself?
Thought I did. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. I wasn't expecting to represent the whole agency today. I was just here to lurk. I guess that probably Jeremy or Paul probably couldn't make it or couldn't find the new link. So I'm one of the biologists at TPWD. I am doing I do a large project dealing with landowners across the hill country, doing invasive species management. And we have been using the TNRIS parcel data for the last couple of years. And so I really want to say thank you to Lauren and her predecessor and everybody who's worked on that project, because it's been amazing to be able to get that data. Before that, we had to like beg, borrow, and you know, pirate data to try to get it from wherever we could possibly get it. And it was multiple years old and it was really hard to keep track. And so having it well documented and standardized and, you know, just available is amazing.
Well, we're very glad. We actually had worked with Parks and Wildlife before GLO and others when we were defining how the program should look. So we appreciate your input, and because of that, we were able to, you know, create what we did. So if you have any ideas or any thoughts on ways we can improve things, please let us know. But I appreciate you letting us put you on the spot.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you so much. Anybody else raise their hand by any chance?
Not yet.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open it up now for anybody who wants to give any sort of an update, whether it be in the room or virtually. Just raise your hand and we'll call on you, but we'd like to hear what y'all are doing. So first of all, anybody in the room that would like to, and it could be anything. How about, okay, John.
Richard, thanks. I'm John Doherty with Esri. I'm the State Government Account Manager. We have about 23 job openings are associated with the San Antonio office. And there are also 3 other jobs in Texas. And then there's probably 386 openings Esri-wide. So if you're interested, let us know. And then we just had the user conference a couple of weeks ago, so we're all recovering from that. But we'll be doing a recap of that shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll talk about that near the end of the thing. But the little social is going to be a recap. Is that correct? Is that happening at the social?
URIS is doing their own recap of it, but we can.
Gotcha. Okay. I just happened to see it on the flyer. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a lot of openings, a lot of job openings, a lot of opportunities. So thank you, John. We had a couple on, oh, yeah, so.
Yeah, my name is Jennifer Kirby. I'm with HDR, and we are a new platinum partner with Esri. We are on the DIR cooperative contract as well. And we do have our specialty in hub and utility network as well, if y'all are looking for folks interested in that.
Right. Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else in the room? All right, we'll go virtual. You want to start with Sam?
Yeah, Sam, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We got you.
All right. So I'm Sam Sewell. I'm the new GIS work lead at TCQ. And currently, we're working on integrating Portal for ArcGIS agency-wide. We're calling it GeoVortex, and we are in the process of setting up outreach to inform the agency as a whole about what it can do for them. Additionally, our Sunset Review GIS team is going to be playing a larger role in the agency, so we are excited to create a geospatial strategy for all of TCEQ. And that's all I got.
That's great. Sam, we're always interested in what you guys are doing when it comes to doing that kind of a strategy. So once you guys get further along, we'd love to learn more about it.
Well, we would love to inform you when we get down the road.
Sounds great. We'll contact you. Thank you so much. How about Molly next?
Molly, are you able to unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Molly Eskelson. I'm with Missouri City, and I'm stepping in for Sharon Heisler, who has left the city. We have the technician, GIS technician position open, and if they don't hire anyone internally, our GIS admin position will be up next month. And I also wanted to promote the Houston Area GIS Day. We have a date and location, Wednesday, November 16th at the University of Houston at Clear Lake. It's virtual and in person, and it's just one day this year. So I thought I would share that with you guys. So,
Molly, who did you say you were with again?
Missouri City.
Missouri City, all right. Well,
yeah, just outside Houston.
Yeah, thanks for being on. We appreciate that. Awesome. Who's next to me?
Next is Fabio.
Fabio.
Hi, yes. This is Fabio with Texas Rural Water Association. Fabio is my middle name. I just go by. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of promote the GIS mapping service that we're doing for rural water system. We just jump-started it again this year with me jumping on board. Originally came from the city of Galveston, and I was there for their GIS field technician position. But it slowly evolved once they started seeing how GIS could be applied in asset management and capital improvement. Then they started really getting the grasp of GIS, and TRWA saw what I was doing there, and they approached me asking if I would like to do the same thing, but for smaller systems around Texas, and jumped on the opportunity. So now I'm doing that currently. I'm based out of Alvin, so around the Houston area. But right now I am currently in the Denton area, doing some GIS and GPS mapping for some of the local water systems here. So again, just want to kind of promote that for any rural area systems that might be on. We're looking out for y'all.
Yeah, Fabio, that's great news. And are you in regularly in contact with anybody at the Water Development Board?
Currently, no. Just again, since I'm barely into the TRWA organization, I'm getting more familiar with other agencies. So currently, no, I am not.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thanks for your update. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all stay blessed.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. How about Courtney?
Hey, everyone. Hope I get to see y'all later at the Mappy Hour in Austin. I am Courtney Rowe. I work over at Pape Dawson Engineers. And of course, Pape Dawson is always looking for the right talent. And I know our Austin office could always use somebody for GIS if y'all are interested. I just wanted to go ahead and plug the Texas-wide GIS Day. I know that our friends in Houston are part of our Texas-wide GIS Day, and they will be sharing their live event hybridly with Texas GIS Day. But Texas GIS Day will be a 3-day event where it'll be in person at your local community as well as hybrid online. So if you'd like to volunteer for that, please reach out to me, courtney.f.rowe@gmail. or visit our texasgisday.org website and fill out our volunteer form. We'd love to have y'all. Our ERISA Texas is always looking for great volunteers, and locally in Austin, but expanding geographically, of course, we have supporting women in geography and GIS, and we're always are welcoming. Most of our events are co-ed, so we'd love to have you all and look forward to meeting all of y'all later.
Courtney, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you this afternoon.
Thanks.
Okay, how about Mark?
You're muted, Mark, if you want to try unmuting. There you are.
Is that any better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Thank you. Thanks for including us, everyone. My name is Mark Topping. I'm with Atlantic. We're a StratMap LiDAR services provider for the state of Texas, and we have a big update to share. We've recently been acquired by WGI, so we are now WGI Geospatial. As I mentioned, we are on the StratMap, so our services are available to TNRIS. Nothing significant is changing. We still have our same people, our same commitment to involvement in Texas and all departments, as well as technological innovation. However, we have a lot more capability and a lot more resources with a larger firm. So we're still going to be providing what we have been providing. It's just under a new name with more resources and more tools, as well as 2 offices local to Texas in Austin and San Antonio. So we're looking forward to working with y'all under a new brand.
Yeah, Mark, thank you. That was great news. Chalmers and I had a good conversation about that. So that's actually very exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, appreciate that. Anything else? No. Okay, we'll go with, let's see, Paul, you want to unmute?
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Gunter. I'm joining for the first time, but I just wanted to make an introduction. So I represent Databricks based out of Austin, Texas. Actually, we are on the DIR contract as a data platform, but we have a pretty interesting use case that we just did recently with Texas A&M Transportation Institute in partnership with TxDOT, where we worked with them to kind of take a lot of their geospatial data and then tie that geospatial data to specific streaming data, and then be able to map on vehicle roadways where vehicles were doing hard braking in a way that they were able to basically make predictions around where they needed to make infrastructure changes across Texas. And like I said, it was a pretty exciting use case that, kind of takes the concept of tying in other data sets and existing geospatial data sets together in one application to be able to make better information to help make Texas roads safer. But Databricks is a platform that essentially we have connections with Esri and a lot of the LiDAR capabilities, but really it's providing kind of scalability with those different systems in a way that you can kind of bring multiple data sets together and do analytics off of it. So I just wanted to make an introduction. I'm going to be at Task this week, so if anyone's going to be there, come find me.
Excellent, Paul. Thank you so much for the update, and welcome aboard. First time.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
That's it so far.
All right, John, go ahead.
Richard, Tracy wasn't able to raise her hand or unmute, so I've got just another quick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Esri is going to have a Gulf Coast user conference like we had pre-pandemic in Houston. It is mid-November. Dates are coming. It's in Houston. I guess we're still working the details out with the venue, and so once we have that, we'll make that announcement.
She's unmuted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we know that it's going to be in November. We're trying to get it changed right now, so it's really close to GIS Day. So I see that we already have GIS Day events coming up, and we always support GIS Day. Pretty much everyone in our office supports in some way or another. And then I also wanted to add to John's comment about that we're hiring. Since COVID, we've become much more flexible about living where people live depending on the situation. So just kind of FYI on that. I know a lot of people have been like, well, I'm not moving to San Antonio. And that's no longer a requirement depending on the situation. So I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Great, Tracy. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, you said in Houston, not Galveston? It's Houston.
That's going to be Houston, yeah. The first one, we had one in New Orleans, like in 2019, 2018, and then we were shut down for the conference, for the COVID. But they're really, I've been doing it. These are like really nice events. They have socials and lots of opportunity for users to speak. We have vendors with they do kind of a smaller profile booth for them, and it's usually a two-day conference. So when that information is available, we'll send it to you.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for that. We'll retweet it and put it out on our website as well. So yeah,
thanks.
Looking forward to that. Thank you for that. And I think we have time for maybe one more update. If anybody has one more.
Lindsay has her hand up. Lindsay, can you?
Oh yeah, Lindsay. Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, this is my first time to this meeting. Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm with Lindsay Foster with the USGS Oklahoma Texas Water Science Center. So probably some of you know Lynn Falquist, who retired at the end of December and as our public information officer, and I'm taking over in that role. So I just wanted to say hi and also let y'all know about the National Water Dashboard. That's a web app that's been developed out of our IHDS branch. I can share a link in the chat for that. It's a good tool for looking at up to the minute stream flow, groundwater levels, weather patterns, things like fire alerts, drought. So it's a really good tool. And also I was going to mention, I overheard about the Inform and about an upcoming press release. So just wanted to let you know I'm happy to help with that if y'all need any help with that.
Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate that and welcome. Okay. I think that's pretty much where we're going to have to stop it. We are right on time. So if anybody has anything else, feel free to reach out to me, outside of the meeting, and we can definitely put you on for the next meeting. And if you want to do anything kind of demonstration wise, let me know. I think we can accommodate that as well. All right, so let's move to the next slide. And so our next person, and I was getting very, very nervous that this is actually going to happen after we flew in and everything. But I want to introduce Aerographics and Angela Arriaga, who's going to give us a little update on some of their capabilities and let us know what they're up to. Thank you.
Right, so hi everyone. Again, like Richard said, I'm Angela Arriaga with Aerographics. I want to thank all of you for the time today. I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know a little bit about us. So we'll go through this is the agenda. I'm just going to give you an introduction video. Hopefully everything works if we didn't try it in this room. Some of our services, talk about some success stories, show you some samples, and then we can talk about questions or whatever. But please, if you have any questions while I'm talking, just let me know. Right, so we'll try and play the video now, and then I'll be
Aerographics started in 1965, and we were mostly drafters at that time. And over the years, we eventually got into the more sophisticated aerial mapping, started doing photogrammetry, eventually got into LiDAR, and now we are where we are today, which is almost 40 employees, flying with 4 aircraft all over the western United States.
Our people are dedicated, and the most amazing thing about them is how creative and adaptable they are to the environment and the challenges that we put before them. And what they're good at is coming together and collaborating and finding the best way to bring home the best solution for our customers.
I've worked with Aerographics for quite a long time, and one of the big reasons I go back to Aerographics time and time again is the people. All the way from Stan Francis, who was the founding principal, to his sons and their sales managers Aerographics can speak our language. My language is surveying and engineering. Aerographics knows what the engineers need, and they know how to work hand in hand with the surveyors. Together we form a powerful team.
They're very consistent. I know what they're going to give me. I know how I'm going to use it. I know how I'm going to be able to present it. And so that's why there's really no one else in the business that I go to.
One of the reasons why Northwest Pipeline has used aerographics since the 60s is the reliability. They have always come through on their promise, on their schedules, and again on their budget.
We've invested hours into making sure that our process is foolproof. When you get work from aerographics, it's going to be done right the first time. It's going to be done on schedule, and it's going to be done with a great deal of care. Customers have come to trust our perspective. They know that we perform good work. They know that we're experts. They know that we are professional and that we take great pride in what we do.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that short video. Pretty much it says everything. So I'm up here just to kind of like enforce the information that was given. You were given a chance to meet our two presidents, the brothers, Kelly and Casey. Their father started the company back, he said in 1965. So we've been in business for over 50 years, well established. We do a lot of government work. The thing about the father starting the business and then the sons taking over is the same kind of story as aerographics itself. We've grown up in the industry. These boys have grown up in the industry. So they've seen, when we started off as drafters on big tables and drawing, moving into film imagery, where you had to use glasses to see things in stereo, and then moving on to digital imagery, and then to LiDAR today. So we offer all of those products, and we've grown up in that industry. My bosses, the presidents, they've grown up, literally grown up in the industry, because the business was started before they were born. So they, we've gone through it all. So we're located in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where the company is at. Personally, I am the business development specialist, and I live in New Mexico. So I'm just your neighbor to the west there. And my territory is west of the Mississippi and south of Salt Lake. So I handle everything in there. Okay. The thing about being in business for as long as that we have is it's created, gosh, I'm so sorry. My train of thought's gone. It's created an environment where people come to work. Most of our people have been with us for 20, 30, and 40 years even. And so we have 8 photogrammetrists, we have 2 land surveyors, we have a cartographer, professional project managers, we have various specialty processors, people who just deal with LiDAR, people who just deal with the imagery. So we have, in the video, Kelly said we had just under 40 employees. We are now just under 50 employees. So still small, but we're very experienced and able to help you with all the different products that we have. Okay. Some of our industry partners, we know, being in business for a really long time, we know that we can't do it all. We cannot do everything ourselves. So we have a lot of industry partners that we utilize to create the whole products that we can then deliver. So some of the products that we have, I was listening to everything that you guys are all talking about, and we handle everything that you guys are dealing with. We deal with the latest and greatest in the system. Being in business so long, the Francis family made sure that they keep on top of all of the technologies. So as a new technology comes out, we've enveloped that, and we've been able to stay on top of the latest and greatest. We produce classified LiDAR data sets, digital topographic maps, ortho-rectified imagery. We do floodplain analysis and mapping. We do terrain modeling, digital elevation models, digital terrain models, digital surface models. Any kind of model you want, we got it. We do ortho-rectifications. We do geotiffs when we deliver imagery, and that usually is mosaic. And then we can deliver it in any file type that you guys want, ECW, Mr. SID compressed, all those specifics. We handle all that. Let's see here. We also have a pretty unique product when we deal with historical aerials. And in some of the samples, I'll talk about one of those, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Our imagery is, of course, 4-band, RGB, and near infrared. We can do feature attributes as well as geodatabase generation. Okay. Industries, I'm sure that all of you are in here, you're cross industries, but you all use GIS. So basically, bottom line, if your company utilizes GIS, we're your people, okay? Transportation, resource management, civil engineering, utilities, construction, forestry, gas and oil, aviation, all that stuff. All right, our aircraft. We are very unique in this industry. We own 7 aircraft ourselves, so we have a fleet of aircraft. We also have industry partners with helicopters, so we have access to 4 helicopters as well. So if your job would to need that, we can apply. Our aircraft, we have Cessna 206, 310s, we have an Aztec. We actually have a drone. I know that some of the people in the GIS industry talk about a drone here and a drone there. We do have a drone. Is it utilized a lot? Not very much. Just simply because it's for smaller projects, as all of you know. When we need a bigger footprint, you actually need the whole airplane up in the air. So that's what we can utilize. So we have 7 aircraft. We always have 4 in the air at any given time. We do that so that there's time for maintenance and crews resting, so that we're not just pushing everybody to the full break. Sensors. Our sensors, we have digital cameras. UltraCam is our preferred vendor. We have UltraCam Eagle Mark 1 and an Eagle Mark 3. The 1 is a smaller footprint, but still large. 3 is an even larger footprint. We also have a smaller camera called Phase 1. That camera we utilize for dual acquisition, which is where you can acquire the imagery and the LiDAR in the same flight, okay? Our LiDAR, we have a Galaxy Prime, we have a couple of those, and then we also have a Galaxy T2000 LiDAR system, okay? Our drone that I mentioned, its payload is only for a camera, so right now our drone only does imagery, but all of our airplanes at any given time can be switched out sensors and co-located what we need to do to get your job. I feel like I'm going really fast. All right, so let's talk about some success stories that we have. San Bernardino County, the Utah AGRC, and the USDA Historical Earth Rectification, which I think all of you might really enjoy that one. So we'll go through, I'm just gonna go ahead and read. I'm just going to read these. Don't worry about it, just listen to me. So San Bernardino County. Each year from January of 2011 to 2022, Aerographics has held the contract to perform ortho imagery updates for over 4,700 square miles of San Bernardino County, including vast expanses of challenging urban areas in the southern regions. The acquisition requires 2 mobilizations. We do 1 in February for the snow-free areas in the desert and the urban areas. We go back again in June to the mountain areas near Big Bear and Arrowhead so we can get that in snow melt. In addition, we have digitized nearly 1 million attributed building footprints with parcel numbers, elevation, and structure height throughout this whole AOI. I know that that's something that you guys are doing in multiple projects, so we can handle that. The services that we delivered here included all those attributed. We place targets. So again, we're a full service company. I think I missed that to mention that. We handle everything from the consulting of your project to the acquiring the data to delivering the map. Okay? We really like to talk with you about the project before we start it, just so that we know we're understanding what it is your expectations are, what you're hoping to receive in the data, so that we know along the way we're going to make sure and capture that, get it right the first time, and give you what exactly you're expecting. And that's what we did here. So here we actually did all of our services because we placed the targets, so we did the surveying, we did the acquisition, and then we delivered the orthorectified imagery, and of course that Mr. Sid file type, metadata, everything metadata. It's a big thing, and it's always compliant, FDC, and all these things. We can handle all of that because we do the geodatabase generation as well. So any kind of file type that you need, or any of these specifications, we can always have. Does anybody have any questions on this one? All right. So this one is the Utah AGRC, and they've recently changed their name. I can't remember what they changed it to. Kind of like you guys, they're going to something that's makes a lot more sense. So under a cooperative agreement with the USGS 3-DEP program and the Utah State Automatic Geographic Reference Center, we were awarded a contract to acquire and process nearly 13,000 square miles of LiDAR data in highly rugged terrain. It includes the Wasatch Front Range and Bryce Canyon, spanning from Idaho State all the way down to Arizona state line. So we delivered all of the LiDAR that met the USGS LiDAR-based standards, 1.2 and 1.3. And here we also did ground control points. My colleagues are very proud of this, and that was the 5,110 non-variegated vertical accuracy checkpoints. So we handled all of that. We also did an additional 984 variegated vertical accuracy checkpoints. The LiDAR data in this one went out at 8 points per square meter and 2 points per square meter, just depending on where you are. Like in the valley, you know, we're not going to get that higher density as in the top of the mountain. We were able to hydro flatten and do first return DEMS. So we gave that as a deliverable. The intensity imagery is at a 0.5 meter and 1 meter cell size in GeoTIFF format. That comprehensive technical project report is always pretty critical. It's like that metadata. It's the thing that gives it to you so that you can understand what it is that we did. We'll give you all the processes, all of our reports along the way for the QA/QC. So we have all that. Any questions on this one? All right. So this one is probably pretty interesting to all of you. This is our USDA project that we call it, it's a historical project. I've been calling it the Historical Imagery Orthorectification Project. So since 2010, we've worked with the USDA and we have georeferenced, orthorectified, and mosaicked more than 200,000 historical images from both scan negative and contact prints. So the efforts have served various clients, span numerous photography years. From 1945 to 2010 is what we've been dealt with so far. We've acquired at least one project each year. And so within the last 3 years, we've actually produced 30 full states utilizing these film scans from USDA, NHAP, and one in NHAP 2, which you are all familiar with, was the National High Altitude Program. So all states were produced and tested to meet or exceed the 10-meter accuracy requirement at 95% confidence level. The thing about this is that you guys have lots of historical imagery, whether it's still in the can or it's already been scanned. The scans that Richard was talking about, you guys already have. We're a company who's able to take those scans and orthorectify them for you. Okay, that's what we've already been doing. There's actually, which I'm gonna ask Stacy to put on the chat, a website. It is www.arcgis.com. And if you go to that website, it has a map of the United States. The 30 states that we have already orthorectified are there for you to look at, for you to see what the differences are, where the history and the current imagery. There's a really cool slide tool on there so you can see it move. What we wanted to highlight for you was that is if you go in and look at what that does, we've done all of that. So I know Texas right now has all kinds of imagery that you guys have. This is kind of what we call those dummy scans that are sitting there. They need to be orthorectified. So we can handle that project for you. They're lengthy processes. I'm not going to say that they are done quickly. They are done very slowly. I think Richard said it's a half hour to an hour for one scan, for one image. I have actually done it myself. Before I was a business development rep, I was a data processor myself, and I worked on this USDA project. So I know how tedious it can be. So seeing 1 million scans in your, in your inventory, how are we ever going to get that ortho rectified? We're a company who actually works with a partner who has developed, a computer program, I guess, a process that will make it done at something like 50%. It's automatic right now. So we rely heavily on the automated side of it to get it all done. And that allows for us to be able to put it through the process, and we QA/QC it at different points so that it's a shortened point, so that if we find an error, we know we can go ahead and go back to. Thank you, Stephanie. Awesome. So this is one of the things that you can use on that website that's there. And this is our work. I feel like this is probably a really good point for you guys to figure out any scans that you have. Now, those dummy scans as well. Not only can we ortho-rectify the scans, we actually are an old enough company that we have a scanner. We can take the film and we can digitize it and then ortho-rectify it for you as well. Okay, so that's one of my favorite case studies. 3-band CIR ortho-rectified imagery was delivered. We attributed the photo centers and the tile index shape files. There's metadata, and there's also a report that went with this. Does anybody have any questions on this? Yes.
Yeah, so are you saying that you did 200,000 historical images in the span of 3 years?
No,
Oh, okay.
I would say those are since 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the past 3 years, we have concentrated, and we have, well, actually, we've produced 30 full states. So I want to say that in 2010, we probably started everything. And then within the last 3 years, we actually had full states done that were able to be put to this website. Yeah. Texas. Joey has been fortunate enough to see some of the Texas imagery that was just completed. We actually delivered that to USGS. We delivered that 2-3 weeks ago, I think. So we're hoping pretty soon you guys will be able to get onto that ArcGIS website and see Texas. Okay, the whole state's done.
And that's 1985, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Any questions or anything?
And you mentioned that you have a scanner. Does that include roll film?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So 9-inch roll film.
Yes.
You have that ability.
Yes, we do.
Is that black and white? 185 images? Black and white or color?
Yeah, it's fairly certain it's from the NHAP.
Yeah, it's from NHAP. It's NHAP imagery.
It's a 3-band.
In 3-band. Yeah. And what I'll do is I've been keeping a track, and I think Joey's been keeping track to see when Texas is actually going to be on that website. So as soon as I find that out, I'll send out something. I'll let everybody know. Okay, you guys can go in and look at it. It's imagery I'm sure you're all interested in, and what you guys already have compiled on top of it, or in addition, it's there. It's public access, so there may be something that is already done that you want to utilize instead of actually having a new project done. All right. So I've got some samples here. These are some LiDAR samples, classified point cloud, power lines there. Pretty pictures. I always like LiDAR. This is a sample of a dual acquisition where we can overlay the true color imagery on top of the LiDAR data so that you get a true color point cloud. It's just a point cloud, dots, but because of that imagery being overlaid, you actually see what it looks like. And this is just a sample of our imagery. Imagery is always pretty. I always feel like as geographers, our job is just looking at maps all day. It's just wonderful. We do have the ability, we do hydroflagging, mapping and stuff. So even though we don't have a bathymetry LiDAR, we do have the ability to distinguish all of these, and we can classify those points. All right, well, hopefully now you're thinking maybe aerographics is somebody you want to talk to. So we have some contract vehicles for you to utilize. Like I said, we do a lot of government work. So we have USGS contracts, we have a GSA contract, the Army Corps contracts. We have two of those, one out of St. Louis and one out of Omaha. So they're useful in any of the things that you need. We also have the state of Utah contract, of course, and the state of Texas DIR, our DIR CPO 4753 for geospatial services. All of you in this room and online can utilize that contract for any of the projects that you need done. You know, we've already jumped through the hoops to get us on that contract. So we're here to help you, and we would love to do that. Is there any questions or anything? I think I went really fast.
So I got one quick question. So are you noticing maybe a trend in what kind of data you're acquiring? Because one thing that we've been looking at is, you know, we've got our own imagery service, and then we have LiDAR that's being collected totally separately. LiDAR can be up to 8 years old. And so we tend not to have a nice syncing up of the elevation data to the imagery data. Are you seeing more of these one-time acquisitions that are LiDAR and imagery at one time?
Yes, okay. Dual acquisition. For me as the sales rep, basically dual acquisition is my bread and butter. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you processors all know, right? If you have the LiDAR and the elevation data, that just enhances all of your imagery. So, okay, so my background is from a company called Blue Skies Consulting that was around for a long time out of New Mexico. At first we just had digital cameras, we had film cameras and digital cameras. Then the owners then bought a LiDAR system. And it was really interesting how when we were presenting it to engineers and whatnot, hey, we've got this new LiDAR system, nobody wanted the data. And so we had to throw it in for free. I mean, we were like, all right, we're going to collect your imagery, we're going to throw in the LiDAR data, and now we're just going to give it to you for free. We did that probably for about 2 months. After those 2 months, nobody wanted anything without LiDAR. So I was able to charge a premium after that. It was really nice, but it was once engineers and processors have done that you know, the dual acquisition and see what data comes from each, it becomes very critical after a while. You know, the imagery is there, the digitalness of it, being able to see it on a computer is one thing, but once you have that elevation data and classifying that point cloud, you know, where you're looking at foliage, you know, you're looking at water, it just helps what you guys do. Any other questions? All right, well, again, I'm Angela Ariada. There's all my contact information and aerographics. And I'll see you guys at the happy hour as well. So, you know, we'd like to talk. I would love to talk with you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So I don't, some of you probably don't know this, and we've actually been looking into this a lot, is possibly doing a small pilot here in Texas where we do dual acquisition of LiDAR and imagery together and kind of creating a digital twin. And then providing that to all the agencies for review. What do y'all think of it, and does this help you in any way? We've been looking at working with some of the 911 folks to see if that can help with next gen 911. And also to working with them to try to find some sort of like indoor 3D modeling that they've created, like floor plans and so forth. So the idea is kind of create like this ultimate data set, small because of the cost of it, but small, and shop it around and see what people think of it. So, you know, if you got ideas to that, let us know. But Angela, what you were kind of talking about reminded me that was something that we had been looking into and possibly do a little pilot starting next fiscal year. So great, well, thank you.
I have a question in the chat.
Oh, yes.
If you're open to it. Someone asked, what's the status of the 2023 Texas GIS Forum? Is there a location? Do we have a date and time?
Yeah, so sorry I brought that up a little bit earlier, but I do realize there were issues with connectivity. The answer to that is the 2023 Texas GIS Forum is going to happen next fall, not this coming fall. I'm sorry, so it'll be 2023. So it'll be fall of 2023 in October. It won't be this October. And that was because of what we learned from our surveys when most people wanted to move it back into the fall. So that is the idea. And the plan is to keep it over at the Pickle Center. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we'll leave it that way. Great, thanks for your question. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay, what's next on
the most important slide?
Yeah. So okay, so we are done. I think. Let me just start off by saying again, we absolutely apologize for the snafu. It was beyond our control from our service of GoToMeeting. So we deeply apologize. But I'm telling you how impressed I am with you online that read the tweet and were able to convert over. And I know some of y'all didn't get to do that, but this is better than I actually thought. And we'll be working with Stephanie for future meetings on this. And since we're not having a forum in October, we will have another community meeting. And so if Stephanie invites us back, we'd like to have it here.
Oh, think about it.
If we weren't too much of a pain. But I mean, it's been wonderful, but we plan to have another one of these in October. So stay tuned. And we are all going over to the Mappy Hour over at Brutorium, which I understand is literally across the street here.
Yes, you can keep your car in the free parking where it is and just walk
on over.
There's a pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I saw the UC recap, and that's where I was thinking that was happening. But there's, if anybody wants to figure out where this is and what you can do there, just click on the QR code. It'll take you straight there. Oh, Courtney's got her hand up. So Courtney, unmute.
Oh, everybody's muted. Hold on.
Hang on. We'll unmute you here.
I didn't want another yelling incident. So. All right, go ahead and try and unmute, Courtney.
All right. So just to let everybody know, we're going to be a relaxed Esri user conference recap in Austin. So we're just going to talk about who attended virtually, who attended in person, what was your feedback, what'd you like, what are you excited about. We're going to be very chill here in Austin. But tomorrow there are also Mappy hours that are Esri user recaps represented by an Esri rep who's going to be doing a recap in Houston and in Dallas. So if you happen to be in those regions, hit up the ErissaTexas.org website and meet them at their Mappy hours tomorrow.
That sounds great. Courtney, thank you. Okay, last chance for anybody to have any other comments or questions.
I do.
Yes.
I want to share us. So this classroom that we're in right now that we're holding this meeting in is a high flex classroom, and this is how we offer our in-person classes. Students can come sit in person and attend class, or they can attend remotely. We've got them up there on the screen. So y'all that are at home, you're actually on a TV right now in the front of the room, and we can see you. So if you want to turn on your camera and wave hello, you're welcome to do that. And so we offer our classes in this high flex way, so you don't necessarily have to come to campus for class. We've got some students that are in here in person if you want to hear about their experience as well. And then I put our website in the chat if y'all would like to learn more. So thank you for coming to our campus. We welcome you here anytime.
Thank you for having us. And let's get There's anything after that slide.
There is a thank you slide because
thank
we
you.
want to thank you.
Thanks everyone for being a part of this and kind of putting up with our little snafu here. But we'll get all this corrected and it shouldn't happen. It's great to see everyone. I hope y'all can make it in person, especially if it's on this campus. You need to come and experience it. After that, if you wish to stay back in virtual, that's totally fine. But this is amazing. So thanks to everyone, and we will see y'all across the street. Have a great one. Bye.
Yeah, so they're now UGS. So I was USGS contract for the LiDAR.